Following the graduation of Wicks in 1971, the stage became set for a new era at UCLA and a superstar center named Bill Walton. At 6'11" and extremely mobile, Bill Walton was everything Coach Wooden expected in a big man.
He didn't have any weaknesses as a player. He was a great all-round player, great attitude, worked hard on the floor at all times, set a great example as far as workability. In many ways, he marched to the beat of a different drummer.
With teammates Keith Wilkes, Greg Lee, Larry Farmer, and Tommy Curtis, the Walton gang was invincible, going 2.5 years and 88 consecutive games without losing. In the 1973 NCAA final against Memphis State, Bill Walton played the greatest offensive game in Final Four history, scoring 44 points and hitting on 21 of 22 field goal attempts. Following the graduation of Wilkes and Walton, nobody expected UCLA to be national contenders in 1975. Yet, behind the leadership of David Myers and the talents of Richard Washington and Marcus Johnson, the Bruins made their 9th consecutive Final Four appearance. Before the Final Four began, John Wooden announced he would be retiring at the end of the tournament, regardless of the outcome. In order for UCLA to give their great coach one last championship, they first had to get by a tough Denny Crum-coached Louisville team. With seconds remaining in overtime, the Bruins trailed by 1.
Carter against Murphy to Spillane with 8 seconds. Around to the right to Marcus. Richard Washington shoots from 8. He scores! 4 seconds, 3 seconds.
Having survived the Cardinals, UCLA faced Kentucky to decide the national championship. The game was close throughout, but the Bruins started to pull away late in the second half. Finally, with less than a minute remaining, it became obvious that John Wooden, the Wizard of Westwood, would retire with one more championship ring.
He throws it high in the air. The Bruins players go jumping all over each other. It is one of those fantastic moments in sports history when UCLA's John Wooden, in his final coaching game at UCLA.
To fully recognize the legacy of John Wooden and UCLA basketball, anything less than a 10th national championship would have seemed inappropriate. When reviewing the basketball career of Ray Meyer, it's important to mention he did not invent the sport. It only seems as if he's been around as long as the game. As a player at Notre Dame in the late 1930s to becoming head coach at DePaul in 1942, his association with basketball has spanned 6 decades. In all, 4 coaches, Adolph Rupp, Phog Allen, Henry Iba, and Ed Diddle, have more victories than the coach who recorded 724. In his 42 years as head coach, Ray Meyer had 37 winning seasons. He produced 20 teams that earned postseason tournament bids, including 13 trips to the NCAA tournament and 7 trips to the NIT. One of his most memorable seasons occurred in 1979 when his Blue Demons made an all-out drive to reach the Final Four. Standing in the way were the UCLA Bruins.
Brigham Young had their dancing girls on the floor going through their routines, and UCLA players came out on the floor a little early, and they started to play the UCLA Victory March, and they ruined the dancing routine. So the people in Brigham Young, they didn't like it. They were upset. So when we came out, they cheered for us like we were men. They adopted us. After the ball game, we came back to Chicago. We had the following week to play in the Final Four. Well, the president of Brigham Young called our president and said, no, she didn't have a band. Would you mind if our band represented you? So they did. And we sent them little T-shirts and hats. And Brigham Young band represented DePaul in Salt Lake City. That's the first time the Mormons and Catholics ever got together.
Though DePaul made it to the Final Four, The Blue Demons lost to Larry Bird and Indiana State in the semifinals. However, Coach Meyer characteristically looked on the positive side. He was, after all, doing what he loved best, coaching basketball.
I look at basketball and saying this, boy, what a wonderful life I have led because I got paid for doing something I like to do.
The year was 1955. The team was the University of San Francisco. The players were a 6'1" guard named Casey Jones and a skinny 6'9" center named Bill Russell. The result? One of college basketball's greatest dynasties. Under the watchful eye of Coach Phil Wilpert, the Dons launched college basketball into a new age.
But Russell made shot blocking an art. He is the only one ever, even to this day, that has shot blocking as an art.
We played him once, and I told our center, if you don't fake before you shoot it, it's never going to get up to the rim. Well, he took his first shot, and Russell didn't block it. He caught it. And then he watched one of our players. He looked like a little ant. He let him go around underneath the basket, and let him go up, and then he took the ball. He was just so good.
Bill Russell knew how to intimidate more than he knew how to block shots. And he put that pink elephant in the back of your mind. So every time you'd go in, if he would block 5 shots a game, he would intimidate 30 shots.
In 1955, San Francisco was unstoppable as they took a 27-1 record into the NCAA finals against third-ranked LaSalle and their superstar Tom Gola. With Russell and Jones combining for 47 points, the Dons cruised to a 77-63 national championship. The winning streak continued to 54 straight games next season as USF once again reached the NCAA finals. This time, Russell and company defeated Iowa 83-71 for their second title and claimed the winner's share of $12,500 from the NCAA. Russell, Jones, and the University of San Francisco Dons, one of college basketball's greatest dynasties. Beginning in 1931,